Hillary's elected, how long will the wow, we have a first woman as president moment last?
Well, I didn't even know, yeah, she hasn't really had that ride, which she expected. Because I think the thing probably out of this whole year that might have shocked her is losing young women to Bernie Sanders. I mean, I really do kind of feel sorry for her when you think about her trajectory, because she comes in 2008 and is expecting to be coronated like a queen. She wouldn't meet the press very much either, and you know, it was just kind of like, let's get this over with, it's mine. And then this young, handsome African-American prince comes in, and it's like Game of Thrones. He usurps the queen. And so then she comes in again this time and thinks, it's a coronation, let's get this over with. And then this cranky 74-year-old loner from the Senate without much of a record comes in, who's shouting at the microphone and in his one suit from Macy's, you know, and comes in and almost usurps the queen again. Basically, there's this underlying idea in this race that Hillary Clinton should get a free pass and that we shouldn't quote Donald Trump at all. And I just don't believe that. I think anyone who's seeking the most powerful office in the land has to be scrutinized. And so I think the idea of unchecked Clintons is not a good idea. I think they have to be scrutinized and Trump has to be scrutinized. I'm not making an equivalency. I'm just saying both sides. And so in other words, the people on her side are saying, give her a pass on everything. Don't mention, you know, where she has been reckless, like on the emails, or where she has been ethically sloppy, like with her foundation. Just give her a pass because Donald Trump is so dangerous. But my feeling is she has to be scrutinized. I lived through Dick Cheney, who literally tried to dismantle our system of checks and balances. And during that war, they tried to create their own reality, which Donald Trump has successfully done. He's in some alternate universe. But I've seen what happens when an administration does that, and it is so dangerous. So I think it's really good for her, for us to try and keep her accountable.
With you with your question, Steve.
Yes, so, you know, Steve, it's really important to look at where we're going. It's not just a moment in time, but where has this strategy of voting for the lesser evil taken us? All the reasons you were told to vote for the lesser evil over the last 10 or 12 years, because you didn't want the expanding wars, you didn't want the meltdown of the climate, you didn't want the offshoring of our jobs, or the attack on immigrants, or the massive bailouts for Wall Street. That's actually what we've gotten, you know, by the droves, because we as public interest allowed ourselves to be silent and voted for the lesser evil. But the lesser evil doesn't solve the problem. The Obama administration, even with 2 houses of Congress, actually did all of these things that were, you know, as bad as George Bush in the case of climate, you know, blew the roof off of fossil fuel emissions. Yeah, all of the above gave us some renewable energy, but it completely amplified and intensified fossil fuel production, which has been incredibly destructive to the climate. The wars have gotten bigger. We're now bombing 7 countries. You know, it's really important to look at not just the rhetoric here, but actually look at the track record. And the reality is the lesser evil and the greater evil is a race to the bottom. And even Donald Trump and the right-wing extremism grows out of the policies of the Clintons, in particular NAFTA, which sent our jobs overseas, and Wall Street deregulation, which blew 9 million jobs up into smoke. So that's what's creating this right-wing extremism. A vote for Hillary Clinton isn't going to fix it. And one last point, which is this, that it's now Hillary Clinton who wants to start an air war with Russia over Syria by calling for a no-fly zone. We have 2,000 nuclear missiles on hair-trigger alert, and Mikhail Gorbachev, the former premier of the Soviet Union, is saying we are closer to a nuclear war than we have ever been. Under Hillary Clinton, we could slide into nuclear war very quickly from her declared policy in Syria. So I won't sleep well at night if Donald Trump is elected, but I sure won't sleep well at night if Hillary Clinton is elected. Fortunately, we have another choice other than these 2 candidates who are both promoting lethal policies. But on the issue of war and nuclear weapons and the potential for nuclear war, it's actually Hillary's policies, which are much scarier than Donald Trump, who does not want to go to war with Russia. He wants to seek modes of of working together, which is the route that we need to follow.
We're going to diagnose the moment. What's the state of the conservative movement inside the Republican Party?
You know, and those two are very different these days, aren't they? I'm very much a conservative. I'm an independent voter, though. What I can tell you is that Donald Trump is the nominee for a reason. It's because of the failure of the Republican Party to stop the destruction of the country by the Democrats. I can tell you that 3.7 million women have been pushed into poverty since Barack Obama became president. According to the CEO of Gallup, about 25 million economic lives have been destroyed. 48% of Americans have a full-time job. That is the lowest since 1983. So when you look at the Republicans and what conservatives have expected from the Republican Party is to push back on issues and policies and laws that destroy people's lives. They have not done that. And what they're reaping now from, I think, the beginning of the Tea Party, let's say in 2009, is a reaction and a rejection by the American people. They ignored it then. They should have embraced it and routinized it. They ignored it in 10, in 14. They're ignoring it now. Donald Trump is the result of being ignored and of the American people wanting people's lives to get better and for the actual conservative ideal of economic freedom to prevail, which is the only thing that'll save our lives.
Okay.